How's your day been?
Decent. Went disc golfing because it's 40 degrees outside.
Yeah, that's about what it is here.
Nice. We're supposed to get up to an inch of ice and snow tomorrow. So
That is the short version of George R. R. Martin's series.
yeah. So that should be fun. But then back in the 40s next weekend. Which, whatever. What do you want to do next?
Aaron was like, "Oh my god, it's so cold. I don't know if I can handle it." And then, like an hour later, she had the front door open. Like,
Yeah.
okay. It's such a weird flux because we're always on that cusp of it being too cold, too warm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because it doesn't sound like a miserable place to be.
Right.
If you're just copy doing this too. But it is an instantaneous, like, I feel great to I am fucking freezing.
This is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Since we lost the dock, I don't know what happened there.
No, because I still have the dock.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I know. It's gone for me. That's why I started the new one, because I had no idea. Like, I made a new one. Is that the one that... Because the one you're in is the new one.
I'm in both.
Oh, God. You're double dicking it.
That's how I do what I do.
Yeah. So, in the new one, I put the two paragraphs together, so hopefully you don't miss it. I thought about putting it before, like, saying who we are, because then we would never miss it. But I don't really know.
I like how you only give yourself one T in your name too. Of everything to misspell, your own fucking name. If that's not a cry for help,
fuck you. I'm trying to be. I was trying to think of the shit that was missed. I'm so glad you still have this thing.
Yeah.
I
just made a copy.
I guess we just do this then.
Like I constantly use the Amazon link.
I fucking recover things in Google. Oh, I'm gonna be so mad if I can't. So, God damn it.
Yeah, when I went to it and it said, "Oh, this dock has been moved to the trash," and I'm like, "Okay." It goes, "Do you want to make a copy?" Yeah, I'll make a copy.
What the fuck?
Unless this is a statement of Matt's making about our relationship.
No, I know I'd cleaned a bunch of shit out of like I went in my Google Drive and I cleaned that up, and that's what I'm guessing how everything was lost. But I don't know why Google Docs and Google Drive are all fingering each other.
That's how Google finds love.
Either way. So let's go back to the original one because it's got all the extra shit in it. Do you think we should do the 4 more on this podcast before? Where I'm like, hey, Corey's got a big cock.
It's up to you, man. We can change stuff up. I was actually going to go in there and probably edit some stuff, and which is why I asked you the day about what happened in the doc.
Yeah, it wasn't on purpose.
Because I was going to put in the new short link, the bit.ly for the pod chaser. Because I went to open up Apple Podcasts on the web to look to see if I could do a review of something, and it's like, no, you insistent motherfucker, open up iTunes because we hate you. And I'm like, I just kind of want to say fuck you to iTunes. I know that I don't want to take away from anybody else who uses iTunes or Google Play or anything else like that. It just to then try to send people, especially people who don't use iTunes, to that as a primary, just pisses me off, man. It's
annoying. I use it. I have an iPhone. and I love my iPhone. It's just that it's annoying.
But they fucking treat it like such a backwater reject of a fucking thing.
Yeah.
But it's still the basis for like, well, this is where all podcasts come from magically, even though we have no fucking say about it. Really, but we make you think we do. We make you think that it's all because of us. And certainly podcasts got big because of the first iPods.
I agree.
I don't want to take away from what they helped make, but when they stop giving a shit, it seems redundant for us to give a shit about them.
Yeah, I agree. I will not disagree with the word you're saying. Oh my god. So she's logged in to my computer with her Rabbit Rescue Gmail. So every time I open anything, it goes to that one first. So I like open Google Docs and there's like nothing in it. And I'm like, what the fuck? All right. I'm gonna trash the new one I made. And then I'll just go back to using the old one.
That's fine. Let me close it out.
Yeah, I don't give a shit, do whatever you want. I opened Google Docs and it's just Real World Weekly up the ass. I'm like, where'd everything go? Son of a bitch. Fucking signed everything out. Make fucking authenticator. Oh, password. Oh, just cannot spell my passwords.
Right. Do you also take out the downloads from the spreadsheet?
Yeah, because I got all fucked up.
Yeah.
And I got too hell bent on like remembering and knowing what they were. They seem to be normalizing quite a bit. So moving forward, we're back to triple digits and everything, like normal amounts of downloads. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to start this?
Yeah, we can do this.
Okay. I had a lot of beer I need to drink. Hang on. I think I just accidentally opened Battle.net. Yep. I need to stop that. All right.
What do you use in Battle.net? What do you play?
I have Overwatch and Destiny 2 runs in it. Now I have to open it again.
Oh.
I have Diablo 3, StarCraft 2.
I managed to. I think I did the beta for Diablo 3, and I was such a Diablo fan, addict really, that I never bought the game when I was really poor.
Played the shit.
But yeah, my friend Levi bought it for his PlayStation, and I feel like he dealt with the addiction that I dealt with Diablo 2 and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I avoided it. But man, it's so tempting. Hey, Growly.
Oh, we have another guy.
Uh-oh.
My tattoo artist is watching. He tagged it on Instagram.
Oh shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a cute guy. He called into question my drinking. So not like you drink too much. It's like I never ever see you drink. So when we start this, I'm gonna drink an entire beer in Pete's honor. All right, I'm gonna start recording.
All right.
Welcome to episode 118 of the Podcast of Terror production of the Galactic Network. I already fucked it up. I changed the intro and I fucked it up. So used to saying it one way. We're trying to switch it up so that we don't miss parts. So for more on this podcast, including show notes, content information, subscription links, go to gncast.com/pot. I'm your host, Matt Stein. With me as always is Corey, the old glory hole Scott.
I don't know if I'm a glory hole as much as one of those pits you fall into in like Vietnam where there's jagged things poking up at you. But it feels good for me.
I mean, could feel worse.
You didn't say we're a podcast about all things scary, and I feel like that's
said that in like 100 episodes.
You need to get back to that. I like a summation. I like to know when you say podcast of terror, it's not as just ripping pieces of paper in half.
Shut up.
Okay.
Such a fucking terrible dad joke.
But I could have gone back to the ripping up assholes. Instead,
that'd be normal.
I lean a little bit to the nice.
Yep. So as if you're actually watching the video, which I know a couple of people are, I was getting my back tattooed yesterday, Friday. Today's Sunday. Funny, I actually got Captain Spaulding tattooed on my back. And we were watching this movie, and that was in the plans long before we picked this movie. Either way, I know that my very good friend Pete, who's also my tattoo artist, watches these videos while he's drawing on Monday, and he made a comment about how he never actually sees me taking a drink, yet he knows I'm drinking. So, don't say
This
anything.
one's for you.
Yeah, if you're listening to this is going to be really boring, but here you go, Pete.
And
Bird.
one gulp. Much to many people's fantasies out in listener land, Matt took it all in one big.
It was one big swallow.
I'm sort of confused that it sounds so painful for you.
It's really cold. It's really cold and carbonated. I'm good now.
That's a description of love.
That's gonna lead us directly into what you're drinking, because I got a special one for you, Corey.
The new one is what you drank.
Well, what you drink, what am I about to drink, and then what do I have to drink later? Past, present, and future for English majors. That was Fort George Brewing, City of Dreams. It was a pale ale. Wasn't bad.
Matt's about to show you his dangly participle.
Yeah, this is you'll like this one. It's from Three Magnets. It's called Ah Geez.
Ah Geez.
Yep, Rick and Morty reference. And then later, All Fluff. It's a pink can. Some blue writing.
Is it a marshmallow beer?
I don't know.
Because that sounds tremendous.
Oh, excuse me. This is for my monthly beer subscription. So these are things that I agreed to purchase like a month ago, and they just showed up. Both good and bad. For the alcoholic who doesn't need to get drunk right now.
How was did you taste any of the first one, or
I had 2 cans of it. I drank one yesterday. That's how it was decent. Which is why when I had another one, I was like, this is something I can drink in one large drink. I'm not a proud man. We don't have a guest this week, too. Should probably point that out.
It's also kind of back to our natural show, because our 3 guests from the last 3 episodes have all been involved in some way or another, usually major ways, with the films that we were watching, and we didn't want to give reviews with the people who were a part of the films there. It just didn't seem right. So we've forgone our regular show for those 3 episodes, and now we're back to something that we can piss and shit all over.
Well, I mean, you can do what you want to do, but I love this movie. For obvious reasons.
You mentioned Captain Spaulding, so yes. If people don't know for sure, we're of course doing a movie about the manufacturer of the basketball.
Yep. Mr. Spaulding, or Captain, as he made all of his employees call him, hand-stitched a basketball from his mother's backskin.
Yep. High School Musical 4. Yep.
Made a baseball out of his father's testicles, mostly the scrotum. I don't know what else. He made a volleyball from someone's face.
Yeah.
We're
doing House of a Thousand Corpses.
I was wondering. I'm like, did we even say the name?
No, you didn't. That's why I was giving it the go back.
Talking about Mr. Spaulding's murders. Rob Zombie he didn't return our calls to be on this episode, so we're just gonna go at it alone.
Yeah, I feel like he probably had a conversation with Dee Snider, and Dee said those guys are dicks.
Those guys are assholes. It also probably doesn't help that I was trying to get a hold of Ron Zombie.
Ah, that's true.
Which
is just a dead guy named Ron.
That's Ron the Zombie.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, I don't know. We can get right into it, or we can talk about what you've done with your life.
Man, not much. I'm on a 3-day weekend because of President's Day tomorrow. So
fuck you. Sorry.
Yeah, because you don't work from home 90% of your fucking days.
Fuck you.
But yeah, we just kind of chilling, relaxing, feeling old and painful.
Are you maxing, relaxing? D-ball outside of school?
Yeah, because there were guys that were no good, and I sell them crack.
All right. That was a pleasant twist on that song. I'm not upset either.
No, just trying to take it easy because I'm old and brittle now, and both my arms feel like they're gonna fall off. How are you?
I'm fine. I mean, as I mentioned to you before we started recording, the state of Wisconsin is supposed to get like a half-inch of ice tomorrow into Tuesday. So
Which is meth?
I might be yes, large shipment of meth coming in. Funny, I was out disc golfing this morning, and my wife was sending me pictures from Facebook that there was a shooting by our old house last night.
Oof.
I was like, well, all right. And I guess it was a good thing we moved. It was in the parking lot of a really shitty bar, though, so it's probably not like that. I'm not that surprised that it happened there. And it probably wouldn't have really affected us if we still lived there, other than I would have heard some blats in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and you hear that anyways when your wife like cuts loose on your leg and tries to Dutch oven you.
Yes. It's not really that far from the truth. Once in a while, I have to look at her and be like, did you fart?
Like, Aaron let fly the other night and waited about a minute and a half. Usually she'll blame the cat, but she was just really silent, and so I started to question whether or not she misfired. And then the rankness hit her, and she said, "I'm really sorry." And she got up and she opened the sliding glass door. She's like, "This is going to waft its way over to you, and you're going to have to stop, drop, and roll to get the fuck out of the house because it is so bad."
Alyssa yelled at me because was this yesterday? I can't remember if it was yesterday or Friday night, but I stood in the hallway and quote, as she says it, quote unquote, assumed a surfer stance and just started shitting your pants. Like, pretty funny. You just gotta give her hell. There's a poster in the bathroom at the shop that Pete tattoos me at in Green Bay, and it has like artist renditions of the worst shits out there. And one of them it's called
President.
What's that?
I said one of them is the president.
Oh, I wish. I think it's too old for him to be on there, but I'm pretty sure if this was newer, he'd be there. One was called Jack the Ripper, and it's one that rips all of your butt hairs out as it comes out, and there's like a fucking drawing of a turd with arms hanging onto asshole hair. One is something about the shit that's like the Shih Tzu, and it's where it smells so bad you think you ate the dog.
This is
picture lovely. Oh, it's fucking hilarious. That's pretty good. I love a lot of the shit you can find in tattoo shops. I assume you're drinking Lipton iced tea.
I am drinking Lipton iced tea, but I just had a nice, sort of like a patty melt. I think it's called a Riley melt from our local burger place.
Oh,
not the one that we normally go to, but
what's the name of this place?
Mike's at the Yard, or Mike's at the Crossroads now. It used to be Mike's at the Yard, and then they moved from the Yard.
Is this not the place that you spent $40 at, and we had to have a conversation with you about the amount of money you spent on burgers?
That is Super Burger.
Oh, Super Burger. Okay.
Super Burger is our preferred, but they had some unusual thing happen that they're closed today. So
I think I'm going to be back in San Francisco in May.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. As much as I didn't want to go back, they moved the conference to the Civic Auditorium across the street from the Symphony instead of like in a fucking industrial park. So I'm like, as much as I don't really want to go, like I'm down. I can at least like be in the city and not like in a shipping container.
Yeah. I don't know. I might make you come up to Marin this time.
Yeah, let me know when it gets closer. If need be. It doesn't start till Tuesday. So if I had to, even if I flew in early enough Monday or Sunday again, we'll figure that out when we're not making people worldwide listen to us talk.
Yeah, talk about our plan.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'm looking at.
I was going to say though,
the
with
menu of this place.
My burger, yeah. I had sweet potato fries, which I am like totally enamored with. I'd gotten some sweet potato tater tots from the store a couple weeks ago when I was making burgers at home, and I definitely prefer sweet potatoes to regular potatoes as it is. But I'm finding more and more places are serving sweet potato fries, which is just awesome. The only thing is the place that I would take you to if I have you come up to Marin when you come visit next is a little cafe that I used to go to constantly when I worked down in that area. and they serve their sweet potato fries with this kind of like a honey aioli sauce, which is just incredible.
It's honey mayonnaise if you're poor.
Yeah.
So
it's like a little mustardy, but not too much.
For anyone interested, the Riley Melt is a burger topped with caramelized red onion, Swiss cheese served on marbled rye bread. It sounds pretty fucking good. There's a lot of really amazing sounding things on this menu, though.
Yeah, the marbled rye bread, I think, is a big selling point for me too. I'm starting to get more into the especially a marbled rye, but a rye bread as opposed to a hamburger bun. Just there's something about the texture of it that makes it better because it's all nice and buttery toasty.
I am 100% down with pretzel buns.
Pretzel buns are good.
Pretzel buns are the fucking shit. Just saying.
But you got to get a quality pretzel bun. You're not going to go to a fucking Jack in the Box and eat their pretzel buns.
Do they have pretzel buns?
I think they did for a while. And I think Sonic has them too.
See, two things the closest Sonic is Milwaukee or Madison, so I don't get there much. They took away everything good. Even fucking Chick-fil-A's are down there. My Alyssa was in Oklahoma for work all week, and she texted me when she got there, and she goes, "There's there was a Whataburger in the parking lot. There was like a Target. I think she said there was a White Castle and a Carl's Jr." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so jealous." But for her, she can eat nothing, so she just went to Target and brought food back.
Oh God,
yeah.
The White Castle thing is that's a home thing for me growing up in Michigan.
I've eaten it once, and it was in Indiana, and I didn't shit for a day.
Yeah.
And then it smelled the same way coming out as it did going in. I cannot wait to go back and eat it again.
That's a quality burger.
Oh, it's so fucking good and terrible. Great. They had like chicken sliders at the time. We got some jalapeno ones. We had a few.
What I remember about White Castle is that they had really good vanilla shakes.
Oh, see, when we went, it was at like 2 a.m. after a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
So it was a milkshake would have not gone well. I got to look at the White Castle one,
Never get a White Castle in the daylight hours. That's ridiculous.
The seafood crab cake slider. Well, that sounds like it's gonna hurt you.
They've served breaded clams probably as long as I can remember. Yes, I know. That's exactly right.
If you shave it, is it not breaded?
No, it's still, it needs some talc.
Oh man, I tried really hard to just let that one go and I couldn't. Oh my God, they have a double cheese slider. Oh my God, they have
3 hours to come out of you.
A breakfast waffle slider. Oh, I know I had the Western barbecue grilled chicken slider, and then we had some bacon cheese slider, jalapeno cheese sliders. Oof.
The thing about White Castles is that you eat a sack of burgers there, so it's nice that they've added variety, so you can get like one of each.
Yeah,
and just like see what happens. It's like your stomach is a big fucking 2 liter of Coke, and you're just popping Mentos into it left and right.
Yeah, you turn your stomach into a battlefield when you start eating all these things.
That's true.
Let's try to figure out who's coming out first. No one wins.
My lower intestine is the 9th level of hell.
Oh, yeah. No one wins when you start mixing that much garbage. I don't know. Do you want to talk about this movie, or you just want to keep talking about food?
No, I feel like, man, if people are really into the fast food talk, we can start with the podcast.
We could. The podcast of fast food.
Yep.
I'm not opposed to it.
It wouldn't be far away from
food. No, I love food.
Probably get almost as many listeners.
Have you had the Taco Bell fries yet?
No.
They're actually really fucking good.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they wouldn't be, because you have to work really hard to fuck up fries.
Right. It's all in the seasoning, and they put like what I would assume is just their taco meat seasoning on the fries, and then let you dip them in cheese.
What do you eat them with?
Cheese. Your
no,
mouth,
I mean, but
teeth. You
fries are a pairing. Fries go with something, and there's nothing in a Taco Bell menu that I'm like, I want fries with that.
I had the one time I went and had them. I got the $5 box. I believe it was a burrito, a burrito, a Dorito taco, and fries. And then I also got the Bel Grande nachos with fries instead of chips. And those are goddamn good.
Now, Taco Bell used to do a Chilito, the chili cheese burrito, which was probably my favorite thing on their menu, but unfortunately it goes away all the time.
Yeah.
If they did their fries with their chili and did like a Taco Bell chili fry thing, that could almost be a meal replacement there, and certainly an enema replacement.
When you started talking about that, the song "Let's Get It On" started playing in my head.
Totally fair.
You know what? I could just make these at home. I could go get a bunch of Taco Bell fries because they're cheap as fuck.
We are all Taco Bell people.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll get like $9 orders of Taco Bell fries, and that should give me about 30 fries, and I'll just dump chili on them, and then just shit my brains out for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, I went to one of my local diners, one of the only ones left actually in Petaluma, which is just a bummer. I was trying to decide between going to KFC, which is also an A&W, and getting chili fries there, or going to get a patty melt at the diner. And I went to the diner, and they had just introduced for the month the special was all these chili things. So they had chili fries, Red Bull chili, chili burger.
Red Bull chili. I thought you said Red Bull chili.
That probably could work. But no, chili in a bread bowl. And then they had a chili burger. So I got the chili burger, and the chili was really disappointing. So I wound up going to A&W the next day and getting a chili dog, which is still not disappointing chili, but it wasn't as bad as the stuff that was on the burger. It's the one less than stellar meal I've had at that diner, but it just kind of ruins your whole day. I felt sick afterwards. I came home.
Oh, it's the worst. You just don't feel good after you eat some food.
Yeah, but then 3 hours later, I did Else Nerds. It's probably the right mood for being on Else Nerds. It's just all chili sick inside.
That's a good way to describe yourself. I was all chili sick inside. All right, let's talk about this movie.
Let's talk about this movie. So I admitted last week when you offered this up as the next film to watch, I have never actually watched House of a Thousand Corpses, at least not beginning to end. I've seen pieces of it. It certainly was one of those things that I looked at it and I'm like, oh, that seems more than mildly disturbing. Maybe I don't want to rush out and see that.
I remember seeing it in high school, and like, I don't know. I guess my question, like, what are your initial reactions after having seen it?
Well, remember this is the type of horror movie that I'm not super into. It's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it reminded me a lot more of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. There's a few other ones. Motel Hell kind of comes to mind. The weird psycho family cannibals, the tunnels underneath the house kind of thing. The torturous aspect of all this stuff is a little too brutal for my normal tastes. And so I was just like, yeah, this is probably not for me. Now that's from a few years ago of seeing bits and pieces of it and then just not watching it. I know that I've seen the follow-up, The Devil's Rejects, but I can't remember much about it except for the end, which the end is just epic.
Does that mean we're going to watch it next week? Because we never picked a movie.
I almost put it on after this just to
Me too. And then my thought was, well, we don't have a movie next week. Maybe I'll just make Corey watch that one too.
We could possibly do that.
Or we can.
Matt has made his law. Yeah, so we've been doing this podcast now for almost 3 years. And I've certainly seen more disturbing stuff than what this movie is. I don't know if it's deadened me inside, or if it's just from talking to you that I have, but it didn't bug me as much.
I watched it in high school after seeing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it didn't like bother me. There's parts of the movie that still man, nothing made me uncomfortable. There were parts where I was just kind of like, did this need to happen? Like, okay, so let me backtrack because I'm going to talk about the end of the movie. It's about four four kids. They never really talk about their age, who are driving across the country to write a book about weird shit that you find on the side of the road. So they stop for gas because one guy
Not
didn't
weird shit that
actually.
you find literally on the side of the road, but those stopover places like the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota.
Yeah, yeah. So it takes place in the
Tourist
70s. So
traps.
this makes this makes more sense. So it's like they're making a book on tourist locations of weird shit. So they stop at Captain Spaulding's what is it, the house or the Museum of Murder and Fried Chicken.
Practically.
Yeah. They go through this murder ride, and that's where Spaulding tells them about the legend of Dr. Satan.
The murder ride is basically like one of the low rent rides that you go to at an amusement park if you've been to a Cedar Point or even a Disneyland, where you sit down in the car and it just kind of like wheels you through and you're seeing the scenes on either side of characters or dummies. Except it's not actually powered; it's being pushed by
yeah,
Captain Spaulding's little buddy through the whole thing. But it feels like in a lot of ways that they never touch on this, but the dummies and stuff they're showing seem like they're probably real corpses. Like the first one that gets wheeled out with all the spikes all over his face and everything looked like he was actually like.
Yeah, they never cover that even in the second movie. But there's a third one coming out, so they may touch on that. Something that didn't make any sense to me is the two guys that try and rob it at the beginning. It has really nothing to do with the movie.
No, and that's something that I'm gonna kind of talk about too, is that this is a very schizophrenic film. There's not much in the way of suspense, because at the point in time when they introduce new characters, or you'd be seeing something build up to, oh, is this where things are going to go wrong? They flash to little interspersal scenes that Zombie has filmed, where it shows the characters, like, it takes all mystery away of like, no, this baby's standing here and like she's just showed up in the car and you're like, oh, she's going to lead them somewhere bad. But it's like very blatantly in the next second, you see baby standing there saying, yeah, it's cool to cut people open and weird shit like that. So it's, I guess when Rob was making the movie and originally made it for, I want to say it was for Universal, because it's filmed on the Universal lot. They wanted him to focus more on the four kids. And he said, no one gives a shit about the kids. That's not what this movie is about. And
it's true.
And I don't disagree. Yeah, because it is one of those things where most of the kids are brutally annoying. I say that knowing that it's Chris Hardwick and
Dwight Schrute.
And Dwight Schrute. But neither of them do a bad job at all. This is very early for Rainn Wilson in his film career, and Chris had been coming from MTV. He might have just been losing some of the drunk weight at that point, but they're not horrible. And in fact, they're even kind of like have to keep explaining to Captain Spaulding, hey, we're not being disrespectful. We really dig what you do. We're interested in all this stuff and everything. And he keeps fucking with them. But it is sort of, you don't feel so terrible when any of them die. You don't have an empathy for them like you would if it was Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street. Or I don't remember the character's name, but the girl in the second Friday the 13th, who is the final girl in that. You don't care, but they don't try to make you care either. And you easily could. You could easily feel a compulsion towards the girl who's calling her dad and trying to communicate with him, and then he comes to save her. Or you could feel a compulsion to the dad who's trying to rescue his kid. They don't give you anybody to root for except for the Firefly family in this, who are the bad guys. And it's like later years of Nightmare on Elm Street, where you go in and you root for Freddy Krueger, or you're rooting for Jason or whoever. He wants people to be excited for the bad guys. And if that's the movie that you're making, then I think you did a good job, because they are the most compelling parts of the film. But they're not fleshed out well enough for you to understand the motivations of any of them. And it's a lot of things that feel tacked on. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense that one guy is very much the Charles Manson-ish, sitting there spieling out his doctrine of his insane brain. You've got Captain Spaulding, who's the guy who kind of leads people into them, which you find out later. Mm-hmm. But he's creepy and funny, but he's a great showman. He's a kind of vaudevillian act. You've got the mama and the grandpa, but neither of them are really fleshed out. The mama, played by Karen Black, who is in one of the greatest film shorts of all time in Trilogy of Terror, which we probably should watch at some point because that third part of it is excellent. She's sort of the sultry grandma-ish, like I guess she was like 56, so not really even grandma-ish, but she is like a older version of who Sherry Moon Zombie plays as Baby Firefly. You know, they're both a little bit overly flirtatious and trying to compel the young men to pay attention to them and stuff. But none of the characters really get explained. Their motivations are lacking. Their methods change. They go from being cultish at some points to just out and out murderous to experimental to when you see Dr. Satan at the end. Dr. Satan looks completely different from anything you've seen up to that, except for some of the interspersed things. Mm-hmm. And the dad, who is his assistant, like it just changes the aspects. It goes from you're in this cannibal family home to now you're down in the sewers and there's actual zombies.
Yeah, I mean there were bits and pieces that made sense. Parts that kind of annoyed the shit out of me is like, why is Dr. Satan hooked up to some like elaborate like rig system? I know that they had talked about that he what he had done was try to do experiments on mentally handicapped people to make like some super race. So when the chick walks in, she sees a bunch of guys sitting there, and like that makes sense. But then there's the dude with the goggles who comes out. Now, keep in mind,
that's the dad. That's the Firefly dad that they talk about, who burned Tiny.
I never knew that. I fucking love this movie, but there's still a lot of bits and pieces and holes that just don't make sense. I obviously love Captain Spaulding. I think he's really funny. I think he's a really good character.
Sid Haig is tremendous as that character.
Sid Haig is amazing. Otis, Bill Moseley, another great character. But like you said, like it just doesn't make sense. There isn't like any cohesion to the family. And the chick who plays the mom changes in The Devil's Rejects.
Oh, really? They got rid of Karen Black?
Yeah. See here. I know I was just looking at it. I can't remember. I don't know exactly why or what happened, but I know. Please hold. Mother Firefly. Leslie Easterbrook is the mom in 2. See her on The Devil's Rejects. And I think she's better. Personally, I think she's better. But it's been a while since I've seen both of these movies. So I guess we'll find out next week.
And that really is it, too, is Karen Black is so classic to horror movies and a lot of stuff. She's been in a lot of genre films. Mm-hmm. Has a stellar career behind her. There's a lot of really good people in this, but it's funny because some of them are people who are just at the beginning of their careers, and then you'll get the occasion of someone like her who has been around for a long time and bring something to it that maybe wouldn't have existed if they had gone with an unnamed actress in that part. But overall, it just feels like there are characters that get more out of it. There are characters in the Firefly family that we don't even get their names. Like there's an RJ, but we don't know anything about. I don't even know which one RJ was.
He was the Toto driver.
Okay,
but he's not. He's not in Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, I don't think Tiny's in Devil's Rejects. Is he?
Tiny is.
Okay.
Tiny is. Like, Dr. Satan isn't. The dad isn't. Grandpa Hugo isn't. So you just have Otis, Spaulding, Baby.
Well, Grandpa Hugo actually passed away before the film got released.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Him. Yeah. This was his last movie.
I wanted to talk about his little stand-up comedy portion.
And that's another thing too, is that there are parts in this where they just have it's weird to be weird, kind of. It's they get these strangers in their house, and first we're going to put on a little shows because we don't get a lot of visitors here before we maim and murder and eat them.
They almost make it sound like they do it regardless because they put like mannequins and shit in chairs. So they could do this regardless of if anyone is even there.
Yeah, they don't have TV and they don't have a telephone, so maybe this is just their entertainment. This
I
is
believe they
why
have
I'm going
TV
to make a
because
pitch and say thank God for the internet.
isn't Baby and Dwight Schrute watching TV?
Oh, maybe they do.
They do.
Yeah, that's right.
But oh god, I just shot beer everywhere, made my dog start barking. If you haven't seen this movie,
They know Papa's not okay because beer is spilled.
oh god, wish I had a towel in here. I'm just gonna rub it into my desk. Anyways, if you've never seen this movie, and yeah, this is a portion of his stand-up comedy, which I think is fucking hilarious.
A little story. Eat your mom's pussy! I mean, get in your face! Starts licking and chomping on her pussy, and she's screaming and yelling, and she just,
It made no fucking sense.
Yeah, I always wondered what happened to Michael Richards, and
this kind of plays out the same way as Strangeland. It's like it's a movie I watched in high school, and I just remember being very enamored with it and thinking it was a very good movie. And that's really where I get the majority of my love of this film. Now that I watch it, like more objectively and not like, oh, I'm 17 and I'm watching this Rob Zombie movie. It was like it came out in like a dozen theaters. I think it was rated NC-17 in most. And now looking
that's
back,
part of
I'm
it
like,
too.
This isn't even that bad.
The movie was made in 2000. So one, it's very much a product of its time, of its era, of Rob Zombie, who at that point in time had only really been directing his own music videos. He did the animation short bit in Beavis and Butthead Do America, but this was his first major film.
Did you ever see The Haunted World of El Super Beasto?
No.
It's actually
I remember it on the DVD, but
yeah, it's pretty good.
But it was made in 2000. It was made for Universal, and then Universal shelved it because they didn't think they could put it out there without it getting an NC-17. That isn't the kind of movie that they want to make, even though he was completely upfront with them with the kind of movie he was making. Yeah. And he built it off of the Universal haunted house thing that he was making for them for their tours. So House of a Thousand Corpses was an actual place you could go to. It was filmed in the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas house. That set that was on their lot. And I guess they turn it into this every year. And they played essentially the trailer for the movie when people go see it. But it was another 3 years before it got released. He bought the rights back to it, tried to get distribution through another company. They decided that they couldn't really do it. So he finally wound up getting it out through Lionsgate, I think, who was trying to branch out and do something different with their stuff. So it took 3 years before it got released from when it was made, which is why Grandpa had passed away before they ever got around to a sequel. Mm-hmm. And I think the film wound up getting dedicated to that actor. But you're right. It feels very 2000. It feels like a time when we were seeing, not too long after Natural Born Killers, other movies that were maybe a little more psychedelic. I can't remember when Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was out, but it doesn't feel like a now film, and it doesn't feel like it makes sense, because at that point in time, I think we're more experimental.
Fear and Loathing was 98.
98, yeah. So it feels very right in that time period for those types of weird off the rails films. And it's his first movie. And plus he had to refilm the entire ending. I guess the budget only took him so far, so he filmed like an ending that he knew was going to leave it short. But he did it on the hopes that they would give him more money to film the ending he wanted to do, which they did. So the budget not quite doubled, I guess, but got quite a bit more, so he could redo the ending as a more established thing. And maybe if he'd had that budget all along, some of the stuff with Dr. Satan and the things downstairs would have made more sense or been more integrated in the rest of the movie. And some of the stuff he filmed later on was done in his basement. Like I think a lot of the interstitial stuff, which is all great. It's still a huge accomplishment. But it's not something that you should watch expecting you're going to get a beginning, middle, and end that all kind of goes together. it's not terrible. Like, you get the full journey for these 4 kids, but you don't know the whys or the hows as much. But it is still very full. It's a very robust movie with a lot of other things, that all that background stuff does make it feel more. It's like extra ingredients that give that little bit of oomph here and there. The stuff with the cheerleaders and you see the like missing girl, found dog's head signs and stuff like that in the phone booth when the girl is calling her dad the first time. All the stuff with the missing cheerleaders and how they come back later on. The dead body when they find it in the trunk later, and it kind of like leads them to going and find the family. But the stuff with the cops showing up and them just getting rid of them seems very cut and dry. It's like, oh, we showed up and we're gonna go check and see what's going on, and then just immediately like they're gone. Except for the longest anticipation ever of someone getting shot in the head.
I love that. To this day, I think that is a fucking amazing. And I want to point out, so I just finally found the guy's name too. Walton Goggins plays that cop.
Yes, I was super excited to see him in this.
Also in Vice Principals with Danny McBride, which is a TV show that I think is fucking great.
I'm a big fan of his from both The Shield and Justified.
Oh, apparently he was on Sons of Anarchy too. He's done a lot.
Yeah. He plays a transgendered character, I think, in Sons of. I haven't seen the show, but
I don't watch it either. But the fact that it's like it really does a great job of like building tension, because it's like you know what's going to happen, but it just takes so long to happen that when it finally does happen, it's startling.
Right. Yeah, because I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and the sound has stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just waiting for it to happen. And the longer it takes, the more you're like, is there going to be a noise? There's not going to be a noise. And then when finally the pop happens, it does. It makes you jump a little bit. Oh, shit. Fucking Wii Studios is saying that Walton Goggins popped up in the first Bourne Identity, too.
He did, yeah. I actually just found that.
I'm a big fan of Walton Goggins because he's consistently good in everything. And he does get to play some more experimental parts, or at least he'll pick up things. He was in the Predators movie or one of those movies, and he was great in that. Topher Grace was actually really weirdly good in that too. But yeah, I feel like the faults in this movie are sort of what gives it its charms at the same time. The things of like, nobody should do that. Nobody would make those kinds of mistakes. Rob Zombie himself is not really proud of this film. He's like, yeah, it's really fucked up because for some reason a lot of people seem to like it now, but it's a stupid movie. Like, yeah, but all those things that are wrong just feel so right in what this film is. It feels like it's a great accomplishment of what it was trying to be.
I think this one is far better than Lords of Salem, which he's probably more proud of. 31 is a decent movie, but I don't know. His directorial career has a lot of ups and downs, in my opinion. And I do think that I'll never direct a movie. That's just not something that I'm going to be able to do. So kudos to you for directing a movie. And for a first one, I think it's a pretty good movie. I mean, Devil's Rejects is a far better, but it's still, you have to have a start to that story. If you just made the Devil's Rejects, it wouldn't make sense without House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah. And it feels stylistically like you see this and you go, yeah, Rob Zombie makes total sense. You look at the stuff that's come since then, where he has learned as a filmmaker, not necessarily made better films, and a lot of people's opinions, his films have become less and less enjoyable. I'm not saying that's everybody's opinions, but Halloween 2 is certainly just frowned upon.
I feel like he knew he fucked the dog on that one. There was a horse. There was no man on fire. No one got killed with a trident. It just didn't make sense. And part of me would rather see, like, I kind of want to see him go back, and getting a little off topic, but I kind of want to see him make a second Halloween movie without doing whatever the fuck he did.
Well, are you excited for the Danny McBride Halloween movie?
Kinda. I mean, I'm excited to see a new Halloween story, which the way that they're selling it sounds really cool, but there's, I don't know.
See, I'm sort of really gun shy on it because it's reinventing the whole series again. Like they had the series
Not
with
really
the
though.
first two films.
So what? And sorry, I'm gonna cut you off
Go ahead.
because that's what I'm good at. But so the Danny McBride one is supposed to be a direct sequel to 2. So where
Not even
Halloween
to 2,
3
I think to 1.
is it to 1? All
They-
I remember the last thing I read was that if 3 was actually a Halloween sequel instead
Yeah,
of
I've heard that 2 isn't even involved. It goes from 1 to this years and years later. But because they already did Halloween H2O, which brought back the Laurie Strode character and gave her kids, and now they're completely ignoring that and Halloween Resurrection, which they should. I kind of feel like I don't care.
I know Jack is on the Wii Studios, and it just says Corey's right. H2 was the first reboot. Fuck you, Jack. I love you, Jack.
I love
Continue,
you too, Jack.
Corey.
Yeah, but I would rather see Rob Zombie put himself into something more like this. I'd rather it be his own thing as opposed to trying to do someone else's work again or do it justice like John Carpenter.
Jack says that the H2O and Resurrection count the first 2. The new Halloween that's coming out only counts the first one, and he also says I'm dumb.
I can't deny any of that.
I can't either. I had to read it because he took the time to type it, and Jack is our dear friend.
We love Jack so much.
We're still thinking about doing that Gremlins 3. So don't think we forgot about it.
Actually,
still a thing that's going to happen here in the future.
But yeah. So as much as I was not excited to watch this movie for essentially the first time, I think I liked it a lot more than I expected to. Not in a way that it's going to go to a list of, oh, I'm going to go put on House of a Thousand Corpses, but I appreciate the film as it is more than I thought I would have. Like it's a really good example of a movie that I don't want to watch.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know, this is a movie that I like to throw on. It's one that you could probably stop when the chick gets wheeled, like when the underground sequence starts. I don't feel like that needs to happen. I don't really care about seeing Dr. Satan for 30 seconds.
It does take a lot of the weight off of the family upstairs. It goes, we did this and we are sending you down there, and then we're kind of washing our hands of it. We burn the body for whatever this weird satanic ritual is that came up from nothing.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, is that they worship Dr. Satan? Is this their sacrifice to him? Is it a Halloween sacrifice? Because it all takes place essentially on
right around Halloween.
Goes from Devil's Night to Halloween. What is the whole? None of that is explained, so we can't really guess. But they had an opportunity with the 5 cheerleaders to share them, and they decided not to. Is it just because fresh meat showed up and like, oh, this will make a better option, and then we get to play with our food before we send down a meal to these guys? It's a little off, and that separation, I think, while I both appreciate that it's added stuff to the movie to give it a fuller universe, it doesn't quite work because it just feels like 2 separate movies.
I mean, together. I guess you have to assume that so maybe in some fashion, so the cheerleaders could have just stumbled into the area. You know, they maybe weren't specifically looking for Dr. Satan in the hanging tree, whereas the kids were. So the cheerleaders could have just been fun, but when kids or someone comes looking specifically for the hanging tree is when you have to give them to Dr. Satan.
Well, but
I think
led
Otis,
to the hanging tree too.
No, that's true, but they're led to the hanging tree because he asks.
That's yes.
So if Chris Hardwick never would have asked for a map, they could have just driven home. Movie's over.
That's true. He could be telling people to keep their hands off of Jennifer McCarthy.
Yep. And there's a fuck. What is the line? Otis says it. He has something about how like something about the boogeyman. And you're gonna meet him.
Yeah.
Fuck. buy me some time while I look this thing up.
And there's the fact that Otis makes Dwight Schrute into the fish boy.
Fish, yeah.
Yeah, and I assume that he's making him for Spaulding's tour. He's making him a freak for the shop. And so when he
think about that, that's a good one.
So he says, "Yeah, your friend really inspired me. He helped me break through because I've been struggling trying to come up with stuff, and so he makes him. So I assume that he's been making stuff for the shop all along, and that again goes back to what I thought, that the bodies and stuff in there were real people, and just how closely do you look at it? It's kind of like Waxworks."
Yes. The quote is, Otis says, "It's all true. The boogeyman is real and you found him." I thought it was a lot better. But in finding that quote, I found another part of the movie I think is really fun. We're going back to the start here. But when the guy kicks in the door at Captain Spaulding's and they start to rob him, and he says, "I'm going to count to 10 and you're going to hand over all the cash or I'm going to splatter your grease paint mug over the state line." 1, Captain Spaulding says, "Fuck yo mama." The guy says 2 and he goes, "Fuck yo sister." And it says 3 and he goes, "Fuck yo grandma." Oh God. It's so funny. It just shows like he doesn't give a shit at all.
And again, there's that part of Captain Spaulding, Sid Haig's character and rendition of him is just so good that you could have had a whole movie about him, about working at that shop, about like people coming in and it relating to the shop killing people and turning them into stuff, as opposed to taking them off site, introducing baby. It goes from one really interesting premise to kind of a really big ripoff of Texas Chainsaw Massacre to
it is a huge ripoff of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
To Zombies Under the Stairs or whatever you want to call it.
Yep. The only difference is instead of one killer, you have a whole family.
Yeah. Well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre had a whole family as well.
But you see Baby stab someone, you see Otis kill someone, you see Spaulding kill someone. Tiny is obviously the nice one out of the group where he lets the chick go.
Yeah, he tries to feed her cereal. Agatha Crispies, which was one of my favorite things in this. Just what a great throwaway to make this cereal called that.
Agatha Crispies.
That was wonderful. That's the kind of shit that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
No.
Okay, when I was a kid, that was on cable a lot. It was on like Showtime or something late at night all the time. And so I had seen that one plenty of times and I hadn't seen the first one. And I've probably seen number 4 or something, the one with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger.
That's 4, yeah.
Yeah, more than a couple times and don't like it. But again, it feels like a rehash. It feels like an update that's unnecessary to just do the same shit over and over again. So this reminds me a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, including the dad showing up in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It was Dennis Hopper, but his kids, I think, had been killed in the first movie because there's a part where he finds the wheelchair that the kid is in the first one, and it kind of stops him for a second because I think that was his son. But overall, that feels more like it was ripping off to me than even the first Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah. Either way.
But yeah, it's a lot of different stuff that doesn't quite mesh well together, but has such stellar bits and pieces and such great performances from certain people. And it makes sense that those are the people that I remember in the next movie. Sherry Moon, obviously, because Rob Zombie's wife and she keeps showing her butt.
That's true. But they're gross like weird level 3 vegans.
Yeah.
Eat fucking meat, right, kids?
I guess if you made a lot of stuff about people eating other people, you might be a little turned off.
I've watched a lot of stuff about people eating other people, and it doesn't stop me.
It just makes you hungry.
That's true. I am getting kind of hungry.
It's like, where's my Alton Brown show about this?
A couple other things about this movie I would like to point out. So when my dogs won't stop barking, I like to yell, "Shut your mouth," and then when they don't stop, I said, "Shut your fucking mouth," which is a quote from this movie. When I
Or
was
your dad.
whoa.
Your favorite bedtime story.
What?
Yeah, it's my favorite bedtime story. Shut your mouth.
Oh God, whatever. We don't want to. We don't need to get into that.
Are you gonna go to sleep, or am I gonna have to come in there? Wow, I'm tired.
When I was 19, I think I was 19. I was playing in a band that wasn't very good. We played a Halloween show, and my grandma hand stitched me a Captain Spaulding costume.
Nice.
She even made the fucking hat out of an oatmeal container. Yep. Did not get the skull on the bow tie. She was really bummed about not being able to do the skull on the bow tie.
I love that dedication. My grandmother was a dedicated costume maker too.
Yep.
But
well,
I just have the
I
weird
took,
shit to draw from that you did.
Well, I took like a Captain Spaulding action figure over there, and I'm like, "Can you make this?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." Like no questions asked. Like she was a sweet, sweet woman.
Yeah, I had costumes like I was Robin the Boy Wonder when I was in elementary school. I was the only kid in the school who was the sidekick to 3 kids that were all dressed up like Batman with store-bought costumes, and I had a homemade Robin costume where I was wearing pantyhose.
I like how you just throw that in there real quick. Yeah, so and I just wanted to throw those out there because like that's what this movie means to me. This movie goes back like I think I saw it in high school and was probably like, oh, it's so fucking badass. And and now it's just nostalgic. It's like Strangeland. The soundtrack to Strangeland was way cooler to me than the movie itself, but because it links
it all
up to
tied
the
in
movie,
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack says that Robin costumes are better than Batman costumes.
Word.
Jack probably dressed up as Robin once or twice
this week.
He does it at night. So Jack and I have been playing a lot of video games together, and he never ever wants to stream online because it uses a camera. And I'm pretty convinced it's because he's sitting in his bedroom wearing a Robin costume.
Yeah. Or wearing a Robin action figure as a
wearing a Robin thong.
Yeah.
Just gonna think about
Cock and Robin.
Cock and Robin.
Yeah, the nostalgia I can see. You see this young enough, and I have movies that are like that for me. But I do think that there's just something about this that it captures the imagination. Again, you've got to be a horror movie fan. You've got to enjoy this type of horror movie too. But I think it accomplishes more than, and that's why it's a perfect cult movie.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, but it's a perfect cult movie because of who Rob Zombie is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't listen to much in the way of Rob Zombie, but I have to say every song that I've heard of him doing, I like the stuff.
Well, so the theme song to this movie is, I don't know if he wrote it for the movie, but it's just a song on an album.
No, I think you're right. I think it was written separately and it was on an album, and then he wound up using it for the soundtrack because it was what it was named after.
Yep.
But he pulled from different things that he kind of had ideas for or had existing and put them into a film. And yeah, if it's your first shot and it could be your only shot of making a movie, just do it all. Just make all that shit happen.
Jack just texted me a picture of him dressed up as Robin. Oh my God, I'm sending this to you. Oh.
We need permission to be able to put it into the show notes.
No, I can't do that to him.
No.
Oh my God, short shorts. I see his dick bulge. He's so hairy. Oh my God, Jack, I love you.
There is nothing I want more than to see Jack's dick bulge.
I just had to do you.
Well, I'm going to need to clean up an aisle pants because that is amazing. So,
Jack, how old were you at this time?
I was about to give you something. So my ex, before I met Erin, she had a son, and so I'm still kind of considered one of Jesse's dad's, which makes me very proud. We took Jesse to see the 4th Batman movie. It was no longer Tim Burton, it was no longer Michael Keaton, but it was the one with George Clooney, Batman and Robin. And Jesse was like 4 or something. It was his favorite movie. We got him the videotape. He watched it all the time, like constantly. That was the Arnold Schwarzenegger one as well, where he played Mr. Freeze and had just the worst lines in the world. But he loved that movie so much. So I was working, managing a store at the outlet mall. I got a call from Melinda, from Jesse's mom, one day, and she's like, "So Jesse picked out his Halloween costume." I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool. What did he pick out?" She's like, "I'll tell you when you get home. He also picked out your Halloween costume." Okay, that's a little weird.
Yeah, weird.
But fine. So I get home, Jesse picked out a Batman costume, and they got me a Robin costume based off of the characters in the movie. The problem is that the only Robin costume they had at Target was a medium. I myself was not at that point a medium. So I'm in this
not with that attitude,
very, very tight Robin costume, walking around with a 3 foot tall Batman. It was basically just, it made Pedophile Weekly. It was not a good look at all. It was just so messed up. But it was the second time in my life that I got to dress up as Robin for Halloween.
Is it as good as this look?
No, not even close to as good as that.
I was told that I could display it proudly. This may actually become the this might become the picture for the episode. Jack says he was 28 in this picture. If you're watching the video,
I was 26, I think, in my Robin costume, so that's fine.
Man, I may put this on Instagram. I'm not sure, but Jack wants pictures of you in the tight costume, or it didn't happen according to him.
I don't know that pics exist of that. There are pics of me in my youth in the homemade Robin costume, although I don't think I'm wearing the mask. It's like me at my preschool, middle school, whatever. But yeah, the Robin costume, unfortunately, I don't think is out there at all. Otherwise, I absolutely would. I would gladly share that with you. My shame is no more.
There's only one picture. Jack says to send nudes.
And there's my shame again.
I'm going to send him a nude picture. Please hold. There's one picture of me that exists in this world that I don't want people to see, but I'll tell you what it is. It is me with my hair braided in full ICP makeup.
I was waiting for that. I knew it was going to be an ICP related.
And the guy that took it still has it and will randomly he will randomly post it on my Facebook. He apparently unfriended me at some point, which is fine. But yeah, I just keep deleting it and he gets really pissed. He goes, "Well, everyone did a lot of dumb shit." I was like, "You know what, man? Just fucking let it go. Let it go."
Upset? Are you upset because it's you and ICP makeup, but you're a fan of Twisted?
Oh, I'm glad you differentiated. So I'm actually wearing Twisted face paint, which, if anyone knows, it's just white face paint with black eyes. Because we were on our way to a Twisted concert. But
do you think maybe you could just lie to people and say you're dressed up like King Diamond?
Fuck. So I saw fun fact. I saw King Diamond at the only show he's ever played without makeup on.
Oh wow.
Yep, it was in Milwaukee. He actually had pink eye. It was either pink eye or some sort of infection in his eye. Yep. It was just a terrible concert because it's fucking King Diamond.
That can't even happen with Kiss, because Kiss has always worn makeup.
No, they didn't.
No, they did, because they came out at first in the theatrical makeup, and then in the 80s they wore the glam pretty boy makeup, and by the time they finally came back again, they were wearing 18,000 tons of cover-up foundation to try to not look 50.
I was like, there was definitely a period in which they weren't wearing face paint, but
you will never see a clean face Paul Stanley in your life. It won't happen. They will have to scrape up that dry wood and respackle the floor to make his face look human again.
Oh my god, he is. You know, that's a lot of foundation. Never mind. I googled Paul Stanley clean face and pictures of Dee Snider started popping up. That's how you know it's a He doesn't look that far off of D. Snyder.
No.
Was this him in? Oh, there's a picture of him in like grade school. It's like he smelt someone's fart. Huh. Sorry, this is awesome podcasting when I'm just looking at pictures of Paul Stanley. Where are we?
You have much else to say about the movie?
It's fucking great. Everyone go see it.
Yeah, go see it on TV somewhere. Through our
I
Amazon.
don't know if I've ever seen it showing on TV, to be honest. But yeah, as you said, you can go see it on Amazon, and you can use our Amazon affiliate link, Podcast Terror. At
Amazon.podcastofterror.com.
I'm doing that thing that Jack can never do right, is say it in the correct order. He's gotten into my head. Sends me super sexy pictures of him dressed as Robin. I just don't know how to function anymore.
Yeah, that should become our first Patreon pledge, is like send us $5 a month, see Jack dressed as Robin. And I don't mean a photo. I mean, we'll have a camera in Jack's room. It's just posted on him at all times, and it's just him dressed as Robin, just standing there. And every once in a while, you'll hear a which we used to use here.
Jack, I will pay you. I don't know, a couple $100. I will fly you here, and I will give you $100 if you dress up as Robin and just randomly like jump into my bedroom and do this to me and do your little fist thing and say something dumb. I don't care what you say. Just say something dumb. Now we're going to wait 45 seconds for him to respond in the chat.
Basically, Matt just promised the price of 50 hand jobs for Jack to show up in his bedroom and fist him.
Jack said he was peeing and missed the first half of that, so I have to repeat it. Jack, I will pay your airfare to come visit me. And I'll give you $100. I will get you drunk as fuck too. But I want you to dress up like Robin. And over the course of a weekend, just randomly jump into the room and do your little fist thing. And then like say dumb shit at me. Now we got to wait again. He says he keeps his Robin costume on hand just in case. So
I'm looking at Jack's legs in this costume, and I'm kind of now grateful that I wore pantyhose, even though I was 8.
Jack skips a lot of leg days. We're going to have to get those quads in working order, my friend. Maybe some creamy. I'm going to shave you. I'm going to shave you like a wildebeest. No, Jack.
Really making him earn that $100.
Jack asked if Wisconsin hillbillies will beat him up. No, because A, I have no neighbors, and B, I would defend your honor. I'm bigger than most assholes around here.
He's my bitch. You have him follow you around the yard, holding on to your pocket that's like pulled out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna trip him. Is that why my leg is pulled out, or am I just like showing?
No, it's a prison thing.
Go on.
You pull your pocket inside out, and then he.
And then he can hold it. Yeah, Jack, we'll go to bars. I'll pull my pocket out. You can hold it so everyone knows that you're my property. I think I killed Corey. You can drop the soap in my house, though. That's okay. We're
equal, so much right now.
We're equal opportunity. You can drop the soap. I won't come up behind you, and I won't half baked you. I don't remember the name of that. Something about jungle fur.
So, House of Thousand Corpses. You want to rate this?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. Shit. How do we used to do this? I remember. Oh, we don't break it up in segments anymore.
Nope,
so it's
just
really
1
easy.
through 5.
God damn it! You know, I have to again remind myself it's not a movie that I want to watch because it's not the kind of horror movie that I dig. But in spite of that, I liked it a lot more than I ever would have expected to, and I respect the fuck out of everybody who was a part of it, who made it. I'm gonna give it a 4.
God damn it, got ahead of me. So, fun thing we're gonna announce right now, mostly because Jack just asked and told me. He told me to. He's just gonna kick my ass. But We Studios is releasing a super special sync points for the Cloverfield box Paradox.
Nice.
Yep. You're supposed to ask me when it comes out.
When does that come out?
As soon as we're done recording.
Holy shit!
I know. Yeah. So if you're watching this, then you'll be lucky enough to listen to the Wii Studios sync points for the Cloverfield Paradox. I actually really am excited to listen to this because I watched the movie.
So
and
did I.
have a lot of feelings about it.
So do I.
And my first feeling is, well, I heard that Jack didn't ask me to do it.
My first feeling is that I get fucking Jack and Dan talking about. But now, as I understand it, aren't the sync points usually available strictly to their Patreon supporters?
So that is a really good question that I hope Jack heard, because I don't have that answer. I know that if you are a $2, I believe it's $2 and not Patreon supporter of our friends at Wii Studios, you get every sync points ever, which those guys are actually really fucking funny. And this is turning into a really big Wii Studios sync points commercial, which I'm fine with because I know that they would do it for us. But I'm guessing, still waiting for Jack to answer me. I'm guessing it'll be like a $1 at most, which those guys are worth it.
Completely worth it. They just put out their more recent episode of the Wii podcast, which was their New Year's Eve episode of the Christmas episode. And I listened to that, and then they instead of doing an outtakes, they did a completely unedited version of the episode they released a week later.
Oh, God, I don't know if I have 3 hours of that in me.
I fucking do. I absolutely.
Okay, it's worth it. It's worth it. Okay.
Greatest thing in the world is just when they show up on my podcast feed. I get super excited. So I've been listening to a lot of the same material over again in the extended version. Don't give a shit. Just makes me super happy.
Don't blame me. So it's free for $2 Patreon tiers. Otherwise, it's just $2. Which
absolutely worth it.
It's worth it. So fun. Jeff, that was on Bourbon Please, actually plays PUBG with Jack and I on Xbox. So it was kind of funny. Like I got to know him a little bit. Kind of forgot that he did that, and then heard that. And he's a super quiet guy, very serious about video games. So hearing him kind of let loose is really funny. I also begged Jack a lot to let me fly out there to do Bourbon Please 5. I may have been drunk when I asked him, but I stand by it. I will go visit him, and I will get very drunk with those guys. No shame, because that's the person I am. So, Corey, you gave this movie a 4.
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Awesome. I too gave it a 4 out of 5, which seems like a less impressive score because you didn't seem to like it as much as I do. But apparently on paper, you liked it as much as I do.
Yeah. Scores are arbitrary. Doesn't matter. But honestly, I think I came into it expecting to really not like it and liked it a lot more. So the score maybe is reflected in that respect.
Whatever.
Came into it loving it and going, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of parts of this movie that I didn't really care for, which I still don't care for, and I kind of just wonder why they exist and why they're part of the movie. But that's whatever. It is what it is.
If you were going to pick a section, the Captain Spaulding ride, the Firefly family, or the Dr. Satan underground, if you were going to pick one of those sections of the movie to make it what you would prefer the movie to be solely about, which one would it be?
That's tough because, I mean, it's not the Dr. Satan part.
It's just so unexplored.
Right, but it has the least takeaway to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the middle is where all the meat is. That's where the best parts of the movie are. But the beginning introduces Captain Spaulding, which is my favorite character of the franchise. So without the beginning, the end doesn't make sense. Without the middle, nothing makes sense.
Right, but I'm just saying if you took the beginning and stretched it into a whole movie by itself, or you took the middle and stretched it into a whole movie by itself, or you took the third part and stretched it into a whole movie by itself, which movie are you more compelled to watch? A Captain Spaulding movie,
at this point,
Firefly family movie, or a Dr. Satan movie?
At this point in my life, or before I had seen this movie?
Just anytime.
Well, it's gonna. If I had never seen this movie and you put out a Captain Spaulding movie, I probably wouldn't give a shit about it. If I had seen this movie and you put out a Captain Spaulding backstory, then I would obviously go see that. So if this movie, if I never saw this movie and they put out a Firefly movie, I may see it. You know what I mean? So that's why it depends on if this movie was still released and you're putting out, a backstory on the Firefly family or Spaulding.
Well, the Firefly family movie it's the Manson murders. It's a mix of the Manson murders and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Captain Spaulding is the amusement park kind of horror movie, which is a Waxworks, I don't know how many other ones I can think of that are like that, but that kind of thing. You go into a place and the ride's trying to kill you, or you're being murdered and chased around through extraordinary theme park kind of layout stuff. And the Dr. Satan movie is obviously far more supernatural, with zombies and a scientist who's bringing things back from the dead, or making humans seem so much like the dead that they can survive things, and being chased through catacombs and stuff. So they've all got interesting settings and they've all got interesting premises. And if you just stretch it out and you took the connection of the things from away from them, so that Captain Spaulding doesn't relate to the Fireflies or to Dr. Satan or whatever, or Dr. Satan is just a background noise description in that movie. Yeah, I think that's the thing, is they could all work pretty well. The one that's probably least compelling to me is actually the family, because that's the part that I'm just not super interested in.
But it makes,
it makes sense.
I'm going I'm going off of memory, but it kind of, they integrate the two in the Devil's Rejects,
right? And that's the whole thing too, is that part is definitely where the Devil's Rejects flows from.
Yeah.
So if he does a part 3, but it's not about that family, who all supposedly die at the end of part 2 anyway. Spoilers for that. But he did part 3 was about Dr. Satan. That's the question, is because there's still a whole other aspect of that can be explored.
So I'm looking at one of the exclusive story that Bloody Disgusting had, and the Devil's Rejects 2, 3 from Hell is the working title. It doesn't say that Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, and Sherry Moon are in the movie, but they're speculating that the title 3 from Hell gives it a supernatural U-turn, and that they're not really dead.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's supposed to start shooting next month, like as in March. So I don't know. I almost want like a backstory. Like, give me a prequel, a House of 1,000 Corpses prequel, like a House of 5 Corpses, where they're just.
I would walk 500 corpses.
I would walk 500 corpses, and I would walk 500 more.
What a weird thing to proclaim. Yeah, I
Thanks, buddy.
I don't hate the idea of a prequel, but I don't long for it either, because I know that we always say that we like to have stuff explained a little bit more, but sometimes it's okay not to. It's just, we're reaching for a fulfillment that I don't think is necessary. It's just that we get hungry for the background. We want to kind of know more about the mythos, but do we need it? No.
Something else I just thought of that was kind of funny. We should filibuster Wii Studios, because they're not going to release the Cloverfield Paradox sync points until we stop. So if we never stop,
you make it seem like I don't want this in my ear holes right now. And
oh no, I'm trying to think of like how I can watch it, which I may just do this at work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Assuming I go, I don't know, it's supposed to fucking ice over the entire state, but we're not sure what time.
Whereas I don't work tomorrow, so I can just sit and listen to it sans pants.
Are you a government place?
No.
Jack says if we do that, we'll rob them of $2 to $14.
So they have more listeners than we do, who actually will pay for stuff.
I will pay for stuff. Yeah, but we've never presented a platform in which we would ask for money. Should we?
Not directly.
Yeah. Should we start a Patreon where it's like, for $3 a month, I'll jizz in a cup and send it to you?
Again, why are you asking people to pay for something that you give away for free, or that you can't give away for free, which is even better?
I don't even know what to say to you about these things.
Besides, your jizz in a cup reminds me of those like frozen microwave milkshakes you can get the Safeway.
Microwave milkshakes?
Yeah, have you not ever seen those?
No,
They
that
used to
sounds
have them right next to
terrible.
where you get the microwave hamburgers. They'd have microwave milkshakes and microwave fries.
Oh, God, that sounds disgusting and terrible.
Yeah,
Why would anyone want any of this?
because we're fat and travel makes us cry.
Huh. Huh. All right.
We've scored this, by the way. We've given a score on the movie.
Yeah, you could just read the outro and we can get out of here and We Studios can make their fucking money.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed the show somehow and you want to follow us, go to wepodcast.com. No, wait. Our show. You can contact us by leaving us a voicemail at 805-328-3966. You can email us at pot@gncast.com. Or you can leave us a message on the GNCast website. Those are all possibilities, and you can tell us why we are wrong and Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses is nowhere near as good as, I don't know, Halloween 2. Is Halloween 2 good? Does anybody think Halloween 2 is good? Be the person. Be that one person who says it is. And write us and let us know. Make your case.
I don't think so. If you're listening and you think they are, then
It's got Malcolm McDowell. It's got Scout.
She's in 1 and 2 though.
Yeah.
And I think 1 is a pretty decent movie. But I think 2 is hot dog shit.
It's such a weird step away from what Halloween itself seeed like it was about. But it seems more like where Halloween was probably
movie
going.
theater to see this thing, and there was a goddamn unicorn in it.
Yeah. You know what? You can follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Podcast of Terror, and also subscribe to us via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. I can't remember how to do this, man. I'm looking at the words and they're just not making sense to me. You know why? Because you know what you're doing. You're already listening to the show. If you didn't find us from one of those places, you found us on YouTube or something, or you're stalking us. You're just outside Matt's window right now. I can see the head behind you.
Damn it! I can't tell if there's someone out there. So, real quick, my wife was gone last week, as I mentioned, and at one point I was laying in bed with my dogs, and I heard like what sounded like a door closing in the house, and I had like one of the dogs was on my chest, and I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I guess if there's someone in the house, I'm getting murdered because I'm not getting up.
Yeah,
and I just made peace with my life.
I'm too lazy to defend myself.
Too lazy to get out of bed from underneath a dog. I have guns in this house. So it's not like I couldn't defend myself. I just chose not to because I'm lazy.
Death by apathy.
Yep. I don't know where you were. Sorry.
I don't know. You know, all subscription options and links can be found at gncast.com/subscribe. You can join our Facebook group. If you want to review us, we appreciate that. You can go to iTunes if you hate yourself. We gave you a very simple thing. You can check out the podcatcher.com's reviewing system, which is still pretty new and I think still in beta, but we'll give you a short URL. You can go to bit.ly/potreview and give us a score there. And you don't even have to install some third-party bullshit from Apple that even Apple users don't want to fucking install because it's crap.
Let's calm it down, Corey.
You can do it through a fucking browser. It doesn't have to be Chrome. It could be Safari if you want to go about it that way. But we'd appreciate it.
This is an old man shaking his fist at a cloud right now.
It is fresh and new, and you could de-virginize our review space on that.
There's currently nothing out there. Everyone, please fist our review space on Podcatcher.
You can shape the reviews to come.
It's Podchaser. It's Podchaser. Don't fuck it up.
Okay. I thought it was Podchaser. I thought it was just about virginal podcasts. Yeah. First timers. And we mentioned you go to Amazon.com or Amazon.podcast. Now you got me doing it, you fucker.
Blame Jack, not me.
Amazon.podcastofterror.com, which we would appreciate. But you know what? Right now, use that $2 to go over and get the Wii Studio sync points.
Yes. Yeah, definitely go support those guys. I know. Corey and I live a pretty cushy lifestyle because we're
No.
sitting on podcast money.
That's wow. That is so absolutely not true.
Corey, I'm lying to people.
Okay, good.
They don't know that this is just a fucking green screen behind me, and I live in a box.
This is just a facade of toothpicks and toothpaste.
Yes. No, but definitely go support Jack and Dan. Get the sync points for Cloverfield Paradox because I thought the movie was dog shit. Who knows? Maybe we'll. You know what? We should do a Patreon where we let people pick the movie for us. Is that something that we should do?
Again, people have not been offering us movies to watch for free, so then ask them to pay for it.
Don't say that. We've had a few people suggest movies.
Yeah, usually guests. Well, you know what? Here's the thing: is if we come up with a Patreon, first let us know what you would want from us that would get you to support a Patreon. But more often than not, what we're into is just making great content or whatever we can equivalent to that for you guys. We just love being in your ear holes, you know. But if you reviews are epic. The simple click through for the Amazon is very helpful. More often than not, though, we just want to know that you're out there and that you like what we do because we like you. We're friendly in a stay 100 feet away from you kind of way. Matt, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Matt the Lifeguard.
And Corey? You can find the comics that I help publish at don'taskcomics.com.
Awesome. That's going to do it for another episode of the podcast here. As mentioned, I guess next week we're going to watch The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, why not?
Might as well.
Let's do this. Let's eat through the franchise.
Yep, I can get behind that. So yeah, that's going to do it for another episode of the podcast here. Thanks everyone for listening. We will talk to you guys next week.
Stay Jack, everybody.